Hi guys, it's the new moon in Aries tonight, and I'm just going to pull a few cards for the collective, for everybody that tunes in and watches, just to see what messages are coming through. I did a live video earlier today, and a lot of positive messages came through during that time. So I thought that, I felt super inspired to start making videos again. I feel like it's the right time. People need to know that we're not going through this alone. We have each other, but also we have the guides, we have the divine, God, whatever you want to call it, Mother Earth. We have something bigger and greater than ourselves to lean on during this very difficult time that we're all going through together. And I think what is super interesting is that we're going through it together. And one of the messages that came through for me today was that before we were all going through pain and suffering, loss, disappointment, frustration at the same time, but for different things. So we couldn't see that we were really sharing this human experience. Some people felt like their pain was bigger than someone else's pain. And now it's very obvious that we're all in this together. It's super obvious that that there's no separation anymore. And I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but when this first started happening, COVID-19, there was a lot of racial backlash towards Asian people. And there still definitely is, but I feel like there's less. Like, people aren't even able to focus on being racist anymore. And that might just be because I've tried to tune it out and successfully manifested that. Because that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is that people blame an entire race for something. The fact of the matter is, though, I do hope out of all of this that we learn as a global society the negative impacts meat eating causes. And I posted a meme on my Facebook that said, back in the day, social distancing meant to call yourself a vegan, which I thought was really funny because I don't call myself vegan, but I am vegan. And the only reason I don't is because it does create, a backlash, a clapback. People will be in my face about it, or have been in the past at least, not so much now. But the truth of the matter is, influenza, polio, SARS, H1N1, COVID-19 have all came from the mistreatment of animals, keeping animals in disgusting conditions for food consumption. So we haven't learned. It's 2020, and this has happened again, where we're keeping animals, and in this case wild animals, that shouldn't even be ripped out of their habitats for food consumption, in these disgusting conditions where they're so stressed out that it's creating this cesspool of germs. And I know there's lots of conspiracy theory around where this virus came from and whatnot, but I strongly believe it's the karma from, it's just common sense, if you're I own a pet, and you have to make sure, the litter box is clean and the food dishes are clean. It keeps your pet healthy to do that. It's like your own food. Like, you wash the plates, you wash the utensils, that keeps you safe from getting sick. And then I just don't understand, if you ever look into any industrial farms, okay, where, because I know people are like, no, this came from bats. Well, no, it's not just about bats. It's about how these wild animals were kept. The conditions these wild animals were kept in created this cesspool, which created this virus. And the same with H1N1 and SARS and all of that. So I really do hope that as a collective global society, we learn from that. Because as someone that doesn't eat meat, it's really frustrating for me personally that I have to quarantine myself, stop my work. My child has to stop going to school and getting an education, all because of that action. And the same with the last time that this happened, which was in 2009, my son got really sick. He actually contracted SARS. And I thought he was going to die. Like, I laid beside him that entire time. I didn't leave his side. I really thought I'd never seen him that sick ever. And at that time I was vegetarian as well. And I was vegetarian then, I wasn't vegan. But I didn't even know that at that time. It wasn't even in my consciousness to know that that was created from the disgusting conditions animals are kept in. So maybe that's hard for some of you to hear that choose to eat meat. I'm not telling the world to become vegan. I know that's unrealistic. I don't care that people eat meat. Obviously, I would prefer if, animals didn't suffer for someone's taste buds. But what you can do, because I kind of got off on a flying rant there, is consume less meat. Just consume less. Then there's less of a demand, and there's less of there'd be less opportunity for industries to do this to animals in the first place. So if everyone just decided as a global society to eat less meat, then there would be less conditions that create influenza and H1N1 and the coronavirus and all of that. So let's just tune into the guides. We'll just take a deep breath in. And I'll ask Archangel Michael to surround this reading with divine light and love in all directions of time and space. And I'll ask that this reading be for the highest good of everyone that tunes in and watches it today. We'll ask for higher messages from the divine light to help us during this time on the planet, during this COVID-19 crisis. Just give us some guidance directly from the divine. Okay, so the card that I pulled here tonight is the Eight of Spring. My fuzzy cat is sitting beside me, so he always gets my allergies activated. So this card is about stress. Ironically, the card says stress that comes from having many things happening at once. Well, yeah, we have the coronavirus happening. We're losing our jobs. We don't have work. We don't have any job security. We don't know when the fuck this virus is going to end. So yeah, for sure, this definitely resonates. Eight of Spring, also known as the Eight of Wands. So lots going on. And then the card ends with saying sudden events or changes. So all of us collectively have gone through these massive changes. If you're still working, changes are you're probably working harder than you've ever worked. And I'm probably, going into work, like the guides are talking about those that are still working, not just those that are stuck at home, but those that are still working are finding it increasingly difficult because they might be separated from their families because they have to work, because they're putting their families at risk. They may be working harder. They may be fearful. There's a lot of you, they're saying, that are fearful to even go to work. And what I noticed today, so today I left my house to do the live video and I went to my clinic No one is there. It's totally shut down. I was the only person in the building. So I was still technically self-isolating. And it's like 10 minutes away from my house. I just wanted my workspace to work, to do live video today. And what I noticed was I found myself when I was walking to my car, which was literally just parked across the street, I just found myself like needing to rush to my car. Like, and it was unusual because I wasn't thinking about the coronavirus when I left the office. I was just thinking, oh, I did the live video, awesome. But as soon as I walked outside, as soon as I opened the door, I felt this like, oh my God, I have to hurry up and get the fuck home. And when I was driving, I felt the same way. And I'm like, what is going on? This isn't how I'm feeling. So as an empath, as many of you probably already know, that's the vibe that everyone is in. And I just felt like this urgency to get home, get home, get home, get home, get home, get home. It was like that annoying alarm, like that. That's what I was feeling. And I actually felt like when I walked into my house, like, oh my God, I'm infected. But there would be no way that I would be infected. I never came in contact with anybody. The office that I was in, when I went in, I like cleaned everything with wipes, medical grade wipes that kill all bacteria. And I did the same thing when I got in my car, even though I literally just left. But it was like, this is like becoming worse than when I was a diagnosed germaphobe, okay? But everybody is like this right now. It's like you feel the germs on your hands now. And you're like, when I came home, I just stripped out of my clothes as soon as I walked in the house. And I was like, no one touch me. Jumped into the shower. And before I came in the house, I wiped my hands with hydrogen peroxide. Like, it was just crazy, right? And I had not even come in contact with anybody. So obviously these are great precautions to take. But at the same time, it almost made me ill, just the thought of potentially getting in contact with this virus that logically in my mind, I know it's not just lingering in the air. I just feel like it's not airborne, but there's conflicting evidence to support that it is and that it's not. So let's see. That's what is, but let's ask the guides how they can help us through this time, specifically, how they can help us through this time, to get through this time. So this is a really great card. It's the Victory card, and I love this card because it's auspicious. And so 6, so it's the number 6. So June, I'm thinking June things are gonna let up. So the month of June, it says wonderful news is on its way. Smart choices that bring reward, success, and public recognition. So for me, that card is about, it can symbolize like a promotion of some kind or stepping up. So for me, to me, that's like work will get back in flux around June, which I know isn't really a promising thing for me to be saying, but I mean, it gives us an anchor at least to, to know that this will end, like this is temporary. And so we're heading into April, so that is still a couple of months of dealing with this stuff. And it might just be like by June things are safe, or some kind of normalcy will happen. It could be the 6th day of another month before June, but I am really feeling like it's June, and I hate that that's what it is, because that seems like a long time away. So I'm just wondering if there's any way we can speed that up. Won't hurt to ask, right? Anyway, we can speed up the clearing of this virus. Anything we can do collectively to clear this virus. Obviously, flattening the curve, staying home, washing your hands, isolating yourself, all of the things that we've already heard. But is there anything spiritual we can do? Because I know sometimes, and during this time, it's not really the first go-to thing we think of. We think of the more hands-on, practical action steps we can take, like washing our hands, isolating ourselves, da-da-da-da-da. But we can't leave spirit out of this. And, you know, for me, during any crisis in my life, without spirit, I wouldn't function. I wouldn't be able to be, I just wouldn't be able to function. You know, and whenever I've forgotten God, or whenever I've forgotten to go inward and realize, hey, I'm not alone in this. God is here. God is always there for me. God is going to support me and carry me through this. It's just like all the stress went away. But when I forgot about that, like forgot to connect, forgot to pray, I felt so alone. I felt so like hopeless. So that's one thing they're saying, is to connect to God, or whatever you call God for you. Find something deeper within you, yourself, that can let go of all of the worry and all of the stress and all of the, you know, uncertainty. Root into your soul, like into who you really are, which is beyond this body, which is beyond the roles you have as a job, which is beyond this earth. There's something deeper. And it's important for you to find that. And I feel like God, the universe, we all needed a wake-up call. And many of us, this is a really difficult time. Some of us, this isn't as difficult, only because we haven't been running from ourselves. We've taken time to go inward and made time to do those things that everyone else thought was kind of like frivolous, or a luxury, or just like fun to do. So for some of us that have just been chasing the carrot and working our asses off and buying into the notion that money is the only important thing in the world, this is going to be a really tough time for them. And it doesn't mean that it won't be tough for all of us. It's going to be tough for all of us, just in different ways. Except the one thing, going back to what I said earlier, that's beautiful, is that no one can dismiss your experience anymore, because it's so common that no one can say, well, I had it worse than you. No one can say that anymore, which means that we're going to open our hearts to one another, and humanity will grow from this. That is a message that came through loud and clear today. It's like, we can no longer act as if our pain is more valuable than someone else's pain. And therefore that opens our hearts even wider. And many of our hearts have been closed completely. So this is really beautiful. You're going to see lots and lots of community love groups that will pop up. The guides are saying they're going to pop up around March 27th, which is when Jupiter and Venus come into alignment or conjunction. And this is a beautiful energy on this Friday coming up, because all these beautiful communities are going to sprout up, and people are going to become more and more aware of them on that day or the days following that day. Excuse me. So that's going to be something that needed to happen. A lot of these online support groups and caremongering groups are going to pop up. So that's something that's really beautiful that's happening out of this whole thing. So I'm just going to see if there's any other messages that come through right now. And this isn't my only video at this time. I am guided to post more and more videos again, which is the first time in a long time. I was kind of isolated myself for the last 8 months, just nose to the grind, building up my practice. And in the back of my mind, YouTube is something that I do as a creative outlet. And so I'm really happy that I'm inspired again to get back on YouTube, to do more live videos. I think it's the right time, and I hope and really hope that, that these videos will help you. If anyone is struggling, just know that you're not alone. And I don't mean that just that I'm here for you, but the guides are also here for you. The divine is here for you. If you knew what was behind you, you wouldn't be afraid right now. There would be no fear right now about anything. So I just want you to remember that you have support. You might not see it or feel it. There is security right now, even though you might not feel it or see it. And I know there's a lot of uncertainties, and take that fear and just give it to God or the angels or your guides, whatever. Just lay it at the feet of the divine and say, you know what? I can't handle this anymore. I can't handle this burden anymore. I need you to take this load off my shoulders so that I can breathe. And that's going to help your lung energy get stronger, because a lot of us have lost so much in the last couple weeks. Our jobs, our security, our sanity. I've had at least 3 meltdowns since this whole thing occurred, just adjusting to everything, all of the changes, being home all the time and not being able to just come and go when I want. Being a full-time mom, that's a big adjustment. Not having my acupuncture practice or being able to do and practice what I love, that's been adjustment. So I've just been, looking for the silver lining. Where's the silver lining? Where do you want me to go now, God? Okay, everything's changed. The rug's pulled out from under my eyes. What do you want me to do? And so all of us can do this. Yes, the rug has been pulled out from under your feet and you're flat on your ass, but there's some window somewhere. You have to find it. You have to look for it. And what's interesting about this whole thing for me and many other people that I've talked to is that we're doing more things that we've wanted to do for a long time, but we were too busy to do it. Okay? So I was too busy to do my live videos that I wanted to do for, at least a year. I was too busy to be writing my card deck. For 7 years, I've been saying that. Finally, I find the time. Like, a lot of us had been praying to God or saying internally, God, I just need a break. I just need a break. I just wish I had time to myself. I just wish I had time where I didn't have to be in the rat race. Or the people that are being used at this time, working harder, might have been saying the opposite. We're like, God, I just want to be busy. I just want to be busy. Anyway, so last message coming through here with the deck. Okay. This is kind of what I was talking about. There's a better choice, not seeing things clearly, right? Like, if we focus on what we've lost, we're going to feel worse, okay? Like, if I sit here and I think about my lost freedom, that I can't go to a beach anymore, that I can't go for... This is one of the days that I spiraled. It was the day they announced we can't go to the beaches anymore. I don't know what happened, but I had a massive full-blown panic attack, okay? Like, 100%, couldn't breathe, had to escape my house, lost my mind, cried and cried. I did a video of it. I have a video of it, but I didn't post it. I tried to post it. It didn't work. And I was like, why didn't I, why wouldn't that post? I've never had an issue uploading a video before onto YouTube. And I think it's because at that lowest point, like that's when I reached the lowest point, I wasn't supposed to share that video, not because it's not relatable. I'm sure all of you were feeling, maybe not because of the beaches, but for other reasons. But I felt like it would, like, I feel like the reason it didn't upload is because it would bring people down even further. You know, I watched it back a couple times and it made me cry again and again because I'm literally just bawling on the video. And it was heavy. It was a heavy video. And so it made me realize how super important it is right now to be mindful of what we speak and what we think. And so this card is that message right now where there's a better choice in how you're interacting, okay? So I talked about this in my live video. I'm going to talk about it again. We all have a responsibility collectively to be more aware of our psychic crap, our psychic garbage, okay? And we all have it, myself included. Collectively, there's so much psychic garbage that everything literally feels dirty, okay? And we've allowed it for so long, the negativity, the bitterness, the racism, the hatred, just back and forth everywhere, the abuse, and we've just allowed it to happen. And just the way that it is, like, that's just life, blah, blah, blah. And right now, it is so critical for us to clean up our own side of the street, to stop pointing fingers at people, to stop judging people, to stop attacking people. And I see it more and more on Facebook where people are saying, look, guys, we're all in this together. There's no need to handle your stress. I know you're stressed. So there's more compassion coming out of this. It's like when the earth compresses so hard, you get these diamonds in the ground, you know? And that's what's happening right now is everybody's being pushed to the limit. Saturn is crucifying us. All the planets are in Saturn right now. It's fucking crazy. And we're being crucified. We're being like constricted, but something beautiful has to happen with that. I have to believe that. And maybe I am an idealistic person, but I am holding on to that hope that something good is coming out of this. There's so many good things that are coming out of this. And I'm not saying that, hooray, coronavirus. That isn't what I'm saying. But we need to stop running away from the truth. Seven of Swords. We need to stop running away from the truth. What are we doing to contribute to our own misery? What are we doing to contribute to the collective misery? Who are we associating with? What are the conversations that we're having? What are the thoughts we're having? Who are we blaming? Who are we attacking? Like, we need to be really brutally honest with ourselves and move away from that way that's been the social norm for so long. And that will free us faster from all of this psychic garbage. We need to take out the psychic garbage by taking responsibility of how we behave, how we interact. Because just like this virus, how it spreads, so does psychic crap spreads the same way. You know, we're all worried about this virus and touching everything, and anything you touch could be infected. Well, our thoughts infect people the same exact way. You know, you walk into a room and you start spewing your hatred, it spreads like fire. You know, you go online and you start spewing your hatred, it spreads like fire. Look how much this has spread on social media, all of this. The news and the misinformation, how fast it spreads. So we need to see this also as a metaphor so that we can grow from this experience collectively. So the earth can grow collectively. Okay? And yeah, so Queen of Swords, cut things out. The Garage Queen, cut things out. Get rid of shit. Everybody has felt it right now where you just feel like spring cleaning like crazy. Like everything's got to be thrown out. You know, I am kind of worried about the recycling, like Kijiji markets, like how those are going to be affected by this. And is everybody just going to start garbaging everything? But in a sense, we need to throw out what thoughts, because the Queen of Swords is about your thoughts. It's about your beliefs. It's about your intellect. What thinking needs to change. What do we need to get rid of? What do we need to let go of? What do we need to change? The Queen of Swords cuts out any bullshit. She is a no shit type of queen. She's one of my favorite queens, but oh my God, you don't want to be on the other side of her sword, because if it doesn't work, she's blunt, she's to the point. Sometimes I try to embody the Queen of Swords when I really need to do something to build, like to be strong and firm. I imagine that I am the Queen of Swords, just slicing things out of my way, fearless, cold, detached. There's no, oh, but I like this knick-knack, I'm going to keep it forever. No, it's like, you're not using it, it's worthless, it's garbage, throw it out. So that's the kind of energy you need to invoke to get rid of these beliefs, these thoughts, these repetitive stories you keep telling yourself that just are draining you, that are bringing you down. And especially right now, as I mentioned in my live video, we have all these issues we came into COVID-19 with, our childhood, our ex-partner, and all of these things that weighed us down before COVID-19. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you thought of any of those issues since this happened? Any of the things that you constantly talked about and thought about and woe is me about? And I'm not trying to take away from your experience at all, okay? Like, I know we've all had our shit. But the point is, you haven't really thought about it much since COVID-19, because that's taken over your mind, right? And it's still there, though. You still have that woe is me past, plus COVID-19. So that's a lot of stuff that you're carrying around. So invoking the Queen of Swords and cutting it all out, like letting go of the past once and for all, just dumping it at the curb, letting the garbage truck pick it up. And the same thing you can do with this fear that's crept in to your mind and taken over your sleep. It's taken over your waking life, all surrounding COVID-19. You need to cut it out. You need to cut it out. You need to just say, okay, this is a situation, accept the situation. It sucks, but at the same time, where's the silver lining? What good can come out of it? And not following the stats and following all this fake news and ordering people online to stay in their homes and worrying about things you can't control, like people not quarantining and people this and people that. To strengthen yourself, because you need to be strong right now. We all need to be strong right now. And it is a weakness to let your mind go there. It's weak. And it's not going to serve you right now, especially those that are light workers that are watching this. You need to be strong for other people. You need to hold the light. It doesn't mean that you can't get upset and have complete meltdowns like I did the other day. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying don't go into sharing information or spreading fear. Have a meltdown, acknowledge that you're having a difficult time is very different than spreading fear, okay? This card comes up, and again, it's an autumn card, it's a fall card, okay? So I do feel like things will turn around. I said earlier, like things will probably be cleared up by June, but really everything will be, I don't want to say back to normal. It'll be a new normal in September. There is the great conjunction happening between Jupiter going into Aquarius. Saturn will be in Aquarius, which, we want to prepare for in the fall. And so there's some good things coming out of that, and there'll be some challenging things that come out of that as well. Some astrologers predict there might be issues with power, electricity, just because where Jupiter's going into Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign of electricity. I would continue to plan for the fall in a way that, if there is a crisis similar to what's happening now, you feel more prepared. It won't rock you so much because you have, you know, your toilet paper and you have your supplements and you have everything in stockpiled, but not to the point where, you know, you're building an underground thing. But there's also some really positive changes that will happen in the fall with our communities. These communities that have formed during these next couple months, they're not just going to fall off. They're going to stick, okay? And this collective sharing of resources and wanting everyone to be helped, like how fortunate we are to live in Canada where everyone is, you know, getting this emergency fund and no one is going to go without. Like, I mean, it's amazing when you think about overnight we became a socialist country, like where everyone is equal and everyone is going to basically have the universal basic income. And I think that it's beautiful that everyone's been leveled out. The playing field economically, we're all the same. And people that never struggled or had anything really ever happen to them financially, maybe now can understand that sometimes shit happens and you end up getting screwed financially. I think that for some people that's never happened to them, they never could understand that. So they would always put it on, well, you're poor because you don't work hard enough. And those of us that have been poor, we know that that's just not true. But to get someone that never had to struggle to understand that, it's just like talking to a wall. But now where we're all financially fucked during this COVID-19, pretty much, except for people that are making masks and hand sanitizers maybe. For those people, like for everyone, it's like, oh, well, fuck, like anything can happen where you just like lose your entire business overnight, where you don't have a job to go to in the morning. What? This happens in real life. So this is really, it really sucks on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's really awesome that, you know, people can relate to each other now. Like I said, that heart opening, there's hearts are opening during this pandemic, and I want you to see that and to know that, and to stay out of the fear, stay out of the whole 5G conspiracy, Chinese government this, that, the government are trying to like control us, this and that. Like try to stay out of that fear, and to look at the truth, which is we have higher beings that want the best for us. And sometimes we need to be put in a timeout when we're not listening. And obviously, collectively, we have not been listening. It's pretty obvious. And so this is our opportunity to go really deep and to learn so much and to grow really, really quickly, more than we have in so many years. So I hope that this video helps you, and I will be doing more videos. I know it's kind of like on the longer side, so I don't know if anybody's even going to watch it this far, because most people have not very much attention spans these days. But hopefully, if you reach the end of this video, you got something out of it. And take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and know that you're not alone. And I will tune in again very soon. Take care.